Michael Williams with the super chat says, if KD3 moves 70,000 in the first week, is that a win? I think it would be. I think so.
I think it would be too. Okay, well, let me say this right quick because I kind of wanted to talk about this. I think a lot of people are misinterpreting what's been going on and some of the information that I've been sharing. And so I'm going to try to clarify for a minute if I can, Mike. Is that okay?
Go
ahead. From a journalistic side, when you make contact with a source and the source wants to give you information, Mike, there's a few things that you have to do. The first thing that you have to do is you have to find out what information the source is willing and not willing to share. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, in this case, about 75 to 80% of what the source has told me you haven't heard. About 60 to 65% of that I can't share. About another 10 to 15 to 20% I don't think is worth sharing. Let me tell you what's left in that other 20%. And this is what I mean about how journalism works. What's left to share is the numbers and the media slander, Mike. On a journalistic side, people think that Nas's people are hitting me up to try to get some sort of message across. That's not their job. They've provided me with information that I can speak on and cannot speak on. Now, once they told me the first time what I cannot speak on, I know exactly what the boundaries are. So I haven't had to ask again. I'm very, very clear about what is comfortable for me to share and what's comfortable for me to not share. I'm not the type of nigga you have to ask twice. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Journalistically speaking, Mike, when I was taking the information in the pages of notes, Mike, remember I was showing you, I was like, Mike, I got pages of notes and stuff. What it really came down to was two things as a journalist to discuss that I thought were viable topics, because I don't think people understand the journalistic side of this and the integrity behind it. It's like, well, as a journalist, I can cover this one of two ways. I can just cover the number side of it. And part of the reason that I found the number side fascinating, Mike, is because I find myself to be part of that populace that thought I was being supportive, and maybe, not saying that I haven't been supportive, but maybe can find other new updated ways to be supportive.
Right.
Okay? The other story that was on the table pretty much from the information that had been disseminated, Mike, was the stuff that we had already covered, Mike. The media slander.
Yeah.
It's big within his camp too. And so, Mike, the stuff that we've been prophesizing and forecasting and prognosticating, the only thing I can say to that is like, oh, we've been spot on. The media slander and the yellow journalism is real. But, Mike, part of why most people pulled up here is because they found that what we're saying to be factual and true in their hearts and minds, too.
They saw the same thing we saw, yeah.
They saw the same thing we saw. The camp sees the same thing. Now, for me as a journalist, I have an option. It's like we can retread this water that we've already treaded that helped us gain traction in our following, or we can forge ourselves into new waters. So out of respect for what I couldn't share, it's like the main two subject matters as a journalist were the media slander, Mike, and the numbers.
Yeah.
That's not them. That's me as a journalist having to take the information and pick a topic and be a journalist.
Right. And I think that that's the more beneficial item for the project. I mean, because we want the project to actually get the appreciation that it deserves, because this whole series has been hitting. And I think that regardless of what we hear on KD3, I'm just going to say this because, you know, we're getting the album next week. Hypothetically, if the album's not as good as the other 3 albums that have dropped, I think it still deserves the level of respect for what he's been able to accomplish over this, 2.5 year period with these 4 efforts and his collaboration with Hit Boy. And yeah, at the end of the day, regardless of what KD3 sounds like, just based off the work of KD1, 2, and Magic, it deserves to do 75 to 100,000. And that's outside of his illustrious career and all of that stuff, because we've never seen anybody in hip-hop at this stage of their career have this level of quality output on the main stage, not to mention working with a producer from a different generation.
Now, here's part of the reason why I chose the numbers as a topic. I thought with this audience, the way that they've picked up and followed us, Mike, well, they followed us about what should be topic number 1. Always like as a journalist, Mike, when an artist of this stature has been slandered by our media, like fair or foul, like understand, like journalistic slander isn't ever supposed to be skewed any sort of way. We're supposed to be the most arbitrary and unbiased as it gets.
Right.
So that's always the story for me. Mike, but we've covered that. But part of why I wanted to do the numbers thing is because I thought that the people would understand that it's like, we all are the same people that understand that he's been slandered by the media. That means you know how important as a fan it is to support, right? Because it's like you can't understand one side and then not understand the other. If the media is taking him down, well, you as a fan and a fan base have to do what, Mike?
Support. And we've seen, I mean, we even covered it when Magic dropped. We all loved it and we were all like gung ho about it. None of the major media outlets were even reviewing the album. And Hip Hop DX, they went out there and did a whole article about the abysmal quote unquote numbers of the first week as opposed to even talking about the album. So I think that we also know, and people who follow this platform know, that the numbers part of it is what's used to weaponize this particular artist even when they make quality material. And so if we can help that part of it and curb that part of it, I'm pretty sure that this collective is going to do their job with the music side of it.
Mike, you literally said almost word for word what the source said. She literally said that the media, because they had, like, because there's nothing else you can do. He's divorced and far removed from her. He doesn't make albums anymore. The only thing left to do to slander him is to weaponize the numbers. She literally told me that. And at the point that that's on the table, well, understand that Mike, that's where there's a street, and that's where the numbers and the media slander start to run perpendicular to each other. You understand?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's why I chose it. The source isn't telling me to change anything. I'm looking at everything the source told me, and I'm like, oh, the media slander has affected the numbers all these years.
And you know what? And you know, because I think media slants everything, even numbers, in my opinion. I've been very vocal about the fact that I don't believe a lot of the numbers that roll out. But if the support is out there and, you know, the album is ringing in the way that it should be, they won't even be able to lie about the numbers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Jay Short with the super chat says, Mike, you think I think you have to look at Drake like a Too Short. He is who he is, and subject matter ain't changing. As you age, invite younger guests to feature. Maybe that's what it is. And you know what? He is some level of a mainstream version of a Too Short, and that is valid. Where do we hold Too Short? But do we ever hold that against Too Short when it comes to all-time ranking? Because I feel like we do.
We do. Because I remember he did a Vibe article one time. He's like, how you gonna say Rakim is the man and Snoop is the shit, but not ever talk about Short? I remember
he was before everybody.
Right. No. So I get what he's saying. I just wanted to clarify that because I think some people think that I've been trying to like come down on them or chastise, and that's really just not the case. I really just picked the topic as a journalist that I felt was kind of perpendicular to what brought people to this platform, and I just wanted to really educate and inform how those things intersect, and even how from within the camp they can see it or affected by it. Hold on, watch this, Mike. If I offended anybody or made you feel chastised, I apologize for that, because that wasn't my goal or my intention to do that, truly. My job as a journalist is to handle things with a certain level of integrity. I've been keeping the stuff that the source doesn't want shared, respected, and I want y'all feeling respected on this side. So if you feel disrespected on this side, I apologize, because here's the reality of the matter. If the source were to pull up and feel disrespected, you know what I would be doing, Mike? I would be apologizing for that. I'm going to keep it fair on both sides because that's who I am. And I'm humble enough within myself that I can say that even though I don't know if I'm necessarily wrong in this, it's obviously can cause some tension. I want to alleviate the tension and try to express what I'm trying to do as a journalist.
You're 100% right. And, and I see how this whole thing has come full circle. And I see where you stand even on the Kyrie thing. And I agree with that. It's like, made a bad move by putting out something that could be misconstrued and used in many different ways. Shouldn't have done that.
Like, Mike, I really be thinking about, like, you and I have a lot of behind the scenes conversation. You and I have talked about just who I am behaviorally sometimes and what make me who I am. And that may be some of the reasons that people watch, but that doesn't mean that I need to be behaving in a way that jeopardizes what we could be. And I try to be respectful and mindful of that. And it's just like when somebody's making $40 million a year, Mike, it's like you can't be mindful and respectful a little bit. It's like, okay, you don't want to be mindful and respectful, go out on your own, but don't apologize. You feel
Right.
me? Don't apologize.
That's fair. Justin Jones of the Super Chat says, to keep it real, I like the mystique of KD3 as so far. Also, Nas promoting the Invaders doc, the New York SOM tour. Oh, yeah, New York State of Mind tour, Magic, etc. Makes me think that he's making power moves. And you know what? I do love the Invaders documentary. I never heard about the Invaders. Have you seen that documentary?
I haven't
Trailer?
seen it. I've seen the trailer. Is it out?
No. I don't think it's out, but I saw the
Oh yeah, I've
trailer.
seen the trailer
And I
for
had
it. I'm
never
excited
heard of
for it.
that collective. And I think this is a very interesting story to tell. This is one of the things that I'm very passionate about. There's so many stories out there to tell that haven't been told. And I'm like, I love it when, I hear of things like the Invaders. So kudos to Nas. And I love the fact that he's putting a lot of his efforts
I
in
mean,
promoting that.
you want to know what I found to be crazy? I have a cousin. I have a couple cousins named Mark. There's Mark who's done these paintings. That's Six's older brother. But I have another cousin, Mark, on my grandmother's side of the family. We've been doing family research. We have our family is from South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee. On my grandmother's side, Tennessee. We got people Knoxville, Nashville, Memphis, Orange Mound. I've never even heard about any of this. And like we're a
Yeah.
historical tribe that like delves into stuff like this. And so like I found it fascinating on that level of being so close to home and where portions of my family are from that this going on, and I never heard anything. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Now, I heard of Dr. King going to Memphis to speak to, poor black people who were fighting, and it was young people, but I didn't know who he was speaking to. And they're kind of putting a name with the face, for lack of a better term, in this situation. And it's going to be a real interesting documentary to delve into. I mean, I love learning about these type of things. Man with the super chat says, Too Short's Just Another Day in the Ghetto still goes hard. Now, don't get it twisted. Too Short got content though,
You
and
want to
Drake
know?
does
Hey,
too.
Mike, you want to know? You know what I just downloaded recently that I've been playing a lot lately? Buy You Some. Him and Eric Sermon.
Nigga,
I've been
yo,
playing Buy You Some.
you
Mike, I
remember when
love me
Greg
some
Street
Buy
used
You
to play
Some.
that song every single day?
I'm telling you,
Greg
man.
Street used to have this thing on
They used
V103.
to play it in Charlotte like that too, Mike. That's crazy.
He had this thing where he would, and I just did it. He would have a caller call in, and they would have to speak for 30 seconds without saying or whatever. And whenever they messed up, it came in there, woo, ha ha, yeah. So that was the song he would play after that. And yeah, that was a classic.
It's
That
great. I
song
told
was
you, Mike, I've
heavy
been digging
down
off
here.
an Eric Sermon shit this year. I actually have. Like, E Double got a nice little catalog. His beats
Yeah.
are holding up well, Mike, because
Yeah.
you want to know what? He has a minimalistic approach to his beats. He doesn't
Does.
really try to overdo it.
It's
And
a
what you
vibe.
have is, but when you take a minimalistic approach, a lot of that just bare fundamental stuff is going to hold over time. The boom bap's going to hold. It's
You're
boom
right.
bap. This is hip
And
hop.
and again, I spoke about this when we talked about the Blackout album with Redman and Method Man. It really allowed them to shine because, like you said, the beats were minimalistic, so it was about the rhymes and the chemistry.
El Nino, Mike. How about this? How you feel about Blackout is how me and Six feel about El Nino. Like Eric Sermon, Keith Murray, and Redman's chemistry on that one album. Every song's about 3 minutes, Mike. Every song's a verse of them just ripping the mic up and having fun, and then they're out and it's on to the next record.
I think How High is my favorite Eric Sermon beat, off the top of my
Easy.
head.
Easy. Did he do Tonight by Redman too, right?
Did
Or is that
he?
Rockwaller?
I don't think Rockwilder did it, but I think he may have done it. Too Short though, Getting It is my favorite Too Short song.
Okay.
Love that record. You know what record I heard, and I think I was saying this the other day.
Oh, remember Call Me with Lil' Kim was the shit.
Oh yeah, it was. It was very explicit.
Yes, it
Now
was.
AZ Sugar Hill is an incredible record, but the record that I played, I think I was just watching stuff on YouTube. I played Sugar Free, Stay Ready, You Ain't Got to Get Ready. That
Stay
is
ready. If you stay ready.
That's a beautiful record. Like, you talk about
love
some
Sugar
songs
Free's
that
If You Stay
aged
Ready.
well. The production on that shit
You
sounds
know what I
like
always
some.
remember? You know what made me go back and play that record? Is Schoolboy Q on Yay Yay. He was like, right after Pac died, we all bumped that Sugar Free.
Yeah. Shout out to
Yeah.
Sugar Free. Congratulations on getting married, too. 36 Chambers says, so at appreciate the $20 super chat, too. He says, so at 1750 streams per sale on Spotify, Nas needs 122 million listeners to hit 70,000 sales first week on that platform alone. If his 8 million monthly listeners each listen to 15 tracks of KD3, he can hit that definitely attainable. Way to do the
Pause.
math, 36
Hold
chambers.
on, Paul. Somebody's been Googling how to stream on Spotify, which is Mike. And I'm going to tell you why 36 Chambers of pulling this up, because from what I've been learning, not all streams hit the same. Guess who some of streams hit the highest, though? Spotify. So that's some information that the fan base can take that's not coming from Coop, that's coming from one of your own listeners about what you can do on Spotify to help support Katie. And that's all I really wanted to do was that. That was the story for me when she told me what she told me. I was like, oh, that's the story. This is the story. Especially, and this is what I mean. It's the story. It's like, well, Magic didn't move the same way Illmatic didn't move.
Yeah.
I don't want this album getting the it was written treatment by the media, Mike.
Right. You're right. History repeats itself.
Oh, because then they're going to pull up and be like, oh, this is good. It's not as good as Magic, though. It's like, nigga, you didn't even cover Magic. How would you fucking know?
Now, that would be crazy if these publications
you don't
go
think that
out there.
Do that, Mike? Mike, we've read the articles and seen all the other blasphemous things they will do. You do not think that they will not pull up after not rating or talking about Magic?
Well, you know
they
what's
will literally
different
pull
now?
up and be like, this KD3 thing is okay. It's not as good as Magic, though. It's like, where were you on December 24th, motherfucker? I was in a hotel room in Columbia, South Carolina, tired as hell. And the fans were like, are you niggas going to review this project or fucking sell out like the rest of these motherfuckers? And I'm like, Mike, we got to pull up.
Well, you know what's different now? I truly believe that the writers for Pitchfork are in this chat right now. I truly believe the writers for Hip Hop DX, Rolling Stone, possibly. Because, you know, y'all really got it, that one Rolling Stone writer. I forgot his name. But yeah, brother, you know who we talking about. If y'all go out there next time and want to sit there and compare KD3 to Magic, we really gonna blast y'all on this platform and on this microphone. Because none of y'all even reviewed Magic. So y'all need to keep Magic and Illmatic out of the lexicon when you interview this album. I'm not interviewing this album.
And they didn't cover KD2 or KD1 like that either. It's like they need to listen to this project.
Oh no, they bashed KD1 and KD2. They bashed KD1 and KD2. Rolling Stone's writer said that KD1 was the most misogynist album of the decade. KD2, you remember the dude at Pitchfork who looked like he might have been 14 years old, was like, Nas was making up infactual things about the projects and how did you not know that Rikers Island was a real island? Cut it out, man. Shyster30 with the super chat says, don't just stream. Also remember to buy the album as well, guys.
Well, I think that's what I mean. We all do that. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna tell you when the stream became the story for me was when she was like, "Hey, Coop, you know when you buy an album or download an album, that only counts like when you listen to it, and after that, you got to undownload it and then just listen to it like without it being part of your catalog for the stream to count and for it to reoccur again." And that's when I was like, "No, this is a story." Mm-hmm. No, that's a story, because here's the thing about it. I don't think people understand this side of it, and this is where I'm going to leave it, and we can get into our last little bit of business and probably close out. Well, Mike, we're only saying this about Nas because Nas is the old head rapper, so to speak, proverbially, that's on this run. What I'm trying to tell you is that if Method Man was on this run, or if Outkast was still here and on this run, and a source reached out to me, I would be doing the same exact thing. People have to stop thinking that I'm doing this. But I think some people think I'm doing this because my personal feelings or that Nas is the greatest MC of all time. Well, I felt that way since I heard It Was Written, Mike. That has nothing to do with this, really, at the end of the day. Yeah. You feel what I'm saying? It's like, oh, no, he was the greatest to me after It Was Written, so you can't tell me nothing on a personal level since 96 about it. But as far as the business of it, it's like when I look at the business side of it, Mike, journalism, business, media, numbers, understanding, I'm thinking, well, now I can see why Griselda brags about making most of their money on merchandise. They have an old head type of following. They're not doing numbers, except for they've learned to joke about it because they're making their riches off of merch and stuff, not off sales. But now I can see why the sales aren't moving. The old heads like Griselda, we don't know how to stream.
Not to the level that the kids do.
Definitely. Same thing with Mike. Same thing with Freddie.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'd be looking at like why some of our favorite rappers' streams be low and relationship be like, such and such had 133 million streams. I was like, but nobody played Spody OD Dopalicious last month. It's like, yes, we did
Right.
on our downloaded copy that doesn't get counted as a stream. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
And so some of the best thing that we can do, and this is why it's the greatest intro to an album of all time, at least a rap album, Mike. You see, we have certain formulas, Mike, but we update our formula with the times. So the rhyme style is elevated, style of beats is elevated, but it's still Guru and Premier. There's always a message, right?
Right.
Same thing applies to this conversation and the journalistic integrity of it when it comes to the new Gang Starr and all the other old heads we follow. Mike, I sincerely thought about how long I've been playing Tupac and Biggie and not been putting any money in their family's pocket by streaming this shit. I haven't had all this shit all this time. Same thing with you. Same thing with all of us. It costs us nothing to get educated and informized on this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Next week's going to be a very big show with KD3.